My name is Simone Giertz, and this is my last meal.
Every person has exactly two things in common. We all gotta eat and we're all gonna die. Today's guest is inventor, product designer, engineering YouTuber, formerly known as Queen of Shitty Robots. She's the only person I've ever met to have eaten a silica gel packet and lived to tell the tale. Simone Giertz, welcome to the show, and what the hell?
Wait, how do you know that?
That's not important. How did you eat a silica gel packet?
How do you know that? Did I tell you and just forget about it?
Didn't tell me per se, but I did hear it somewhere, and I was shocked and appalled by it.
You know what? I mean, we're speaking of dying, and I feel like I am gonna eventually go in some very creative way. She ate too many silica gel packets. I was maybe 14, which is too old to make that mistake, and I remembered that we had gotten these like weird Japanese cupcakes from somebody that brought it to our house, and I was like, ooh, what's this little spice bag? And I was like, oh, they don't really have much flavor. And then I looked at the bag, and it was just like, do not eat. And yeah, and here I am. I've lived to tell the tale.
Did you tell anyone about it, or you just ate that shame until it came
apparently
out?
I told you about it. So I don't think I was like, hey, Mom and Dad, I did something bad. No, but I don't know. Like, I feel like you would probably have to eat a pretty significant amount. Mm-hmm. Don't test that, anybody. Don't.
We don't support that, and those did not make it on the last meal today, so it couldn't have tasted that good. Because it is the forbidden seasoning packet that everyone wants to know what it tastes like, and you're the only person that I can actually ask about that.
I can't, I mean, this is 20-year-old information, but it did not taste like much.
Okay, good to know, good to know.
So now you know.
Have you thought about your last meal before?
I have not.
Never?
No.
What did you find out about yourself thinking about your last meal?
That I'm very eclectic.
You are incredibly eclectic. You'll see. You'll see. When you do think about dying, what are the lasts that you think of when it comes to death?
I wouldn't say I'm scared of dying, because like so many people have done it before me.
Yeah, it's kind of the least unique thing you can do is die.
So yeah,
it's so trite. It's played out at this point.
It's so basic. Like, how hard could it be? Like, the main thing is sometimes I'll be like, who would speak at my funeral? And then I make myself really sad because I'm like, I was so good. But I mean, I have definitely been faced with mortality and where you're like, okay, I might die. And I just remember thinking, and that's always like if you're in an airplane and there's turbulence and you're like, okay, what if we go down? What a way to go. I'm always like, man, I have had such a good run. Like, I have already gotten so much more out of life than I ever expected to. And I think it's not fear of dying, but grief of letting go of the life I've had. Because like, even if I were to believe in reincarnation, like there is no way I would ever get this good of a life again.
My public speaking rates are really competitive. I'm just saying, if you want to book somebody for your funeral, I do have a lot of heart disease that runs in my family, so I'm probably going statistically pretty early. But I'm saying, keep me, keep me out there.
Yeah, that's great. I'll put you in contact with my manager.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You ready to eat?
Yeah.
Simone, for the first course of your final meal, a jackfruit. Is the number of jackfruits here, and there's and this is about a 30-pound jackfruit. Please explain.
I don't know. It's just one of my favorite fruits. And I feel like a lot of, especially white people, have just fundamentally misunderstood what the jackfruit is.
You're talking about like the unique vegan urge to braise the jackfruit in barbecue sauce and put it on a sandwich and pretend like it tastes like meat?
As a majority plant-based person, this is the only thrill of the hunt that I get.
That's incredible.
Is having to like eat a fruit that really fights back.
You want the struggle, that's what makes it worth
and it's
it.
like, wow, I really show that jackfruit who's boss.
You're like Joe Rogan bow hunting for jackfruit.
Incredible. So it is quite the process.
How do you normally do it? Because the way that I've done it in the past is I have lubed up a knife and everything, because this is filled with a sticky sap.
Yes.
And then you just sort of try and run the knife along anywhere you can break it into hemispheres. Do you want to do this, or do you want me to take a stab at it?
I usually cut like this because then you get less sap.
Please, this is your last meal. Enjoy the jackfruit as you would want to.
Okay. So what I would do is, just cut it. Let's just go here, and we're gonna.
Do you want
the knife?
we have a
coconut oil? Is it?
It is coconut oil.
Lard.
Yeah, we figured that.
You're like, no, it's actual lube.
I love the confidence. Here, I'll stabilize her.
Thank you. Don't gender her. It makes it worse.
That makes sense. Yeah. I said that and
No.
immediately felt terrible. It immediately felt wrong.
Yeah, so, and then we can just work on like this end, and then I would kind of just go and
When's the first time you had a jackfruit?
just unstoppable. I mean, honestly, it wasn't that long ago. It was probably a couple of years ago.
And it made that big of an impact on you.
It's just good, and it's fun and weird, and I don't know. And then you just go and you eat the yellow stuff, and now I immediately got staph.
Yeah, there's sap everywhere. How would you describe the flavor of a jackfruit? Because to me, it's always been if like you soaked a piece of bubble gum in gasoline, but then drank a Snapple right afterwards. And I mean that in a good way.
That is so specific.
Thank you.
You've thought about this a lot.
Almost every day.
The meekness of papaya, but with the texture of blank.
I'm curious why you call papaya meek.
Because like often they're like, you know, they're not like the boldest fruit. They're not like, hey, I'm papaya. It's like, oh, and I'm papaya.
I would argue that maybe makes it bolder in a certain way.
It does have an artificial flavor. But true, it tastes like candy.
Is this everything you imagined from your last meal?
Yeah, I'm happy. I will die with sticky fingers.
I want to talk about the moniker that you were known as for a long time, the Queen of Shitty Robots, that you have since formally or semi-formally renounced.
I started out building shitty robots, so like the whole shtick was that I built things that failed, which I think was great, and it was such a like forgiving place to start building things, because if I had set out to be like, I'm gonna build something that's great, I would never have done it.
Yeah.
Like I always want to be first to the punchline, and I really shoot myself down a lot. And I think it was just a way to like make myself unthreatening as well, and like just be like, hey, I'm just like a semi-cute girl who doesn't know what she's doing. Like, and then I was like, why am I still doing that? I know what I'm doing now because I've been building things for years. And something I'm really proud of myself for in my career is really trying to stay true to what I wanted to do and being like, not being stuck to the success of something.
You referred to yourself earlier as semi-cute. And I know where that comes from because you've talked about how you said you had to be intelligent enough, but not too intelligent to be threatening, and like attractive enough, but not too attractive to sort of like attract unwanted attention. Now that you're older and wiser and more established, do you feel like you can be your full self, or do you think that sense of self is like ever developing?
I was really scared that somebody was going to question the merit of my success. And that's also why like I would never get any help when I built things. Like every screw what I would have put in myself, because I was horrified that somebody was going to be like, no, a dude built that for her, or no, she's only successful because she's semi-cute. And now I feel a lot like I've proven myself in a way, and it opens up being able to like get help on stuff, or not constantly have to be on guard for people to question me.
Was there a moment where you felt like you proved yourself? Was there one moment in your career that you were like, oh, I am the shit?
Honestly, probably one of the most recent ones is when I released my foldable coat hanger, because that was also like a project that is not funny at all.
Yeah.
And so it's a foldable coat hanger. So if you have a wardrobe that's too shallow for standard coat hangers, or if you have like a really narrow hallway, it hangs closer to the wall. And it went really viral. And I remember being that of like, okay, I can do this, even if it's not me getting slapped in the face with a rubber hand.
That was a genius invention, I'm just saying.
Thank you.
I think we'd all kill for the breakfast robot too, especially if there's one that could break down an entire jackfruit for you, which this is a pretty blunt force task. I think you could build a robot to break down a jackfruit.
Okay, serious question. Who gets the leftovers?
Oh, you. We actually, 100%. That was you didn't read the writer? We actually have branded last meals to go boxes.
Thank you. I was hoping. I mean, I assume some of the meals nobody is going to want.
That just means more for you.
It's great.
Do you see any humanity in your robots? Because a lot of your shitty robots that like deliberately fail, a lot of people seem to see themselves in that robot. Even if it makes like a beep at the end, they're like, oh, I love its self-satisfied beep. I don't think a robot can feel self-satisfaction, but when you create them, do you anthropomorphize them?
I definitely did. And I think that's what a lot of the stuff I did. Instead of programming robot arms to like go from point A to point B, I would have it in learning mode where you can kind of move it. because it would make the movements more fluid and it would look more human-like. Because when it's just like, it doesn't really evoke any emotional response in you. But when it's like, hey, okay, then it just looks a lot more human. So yeah, I think definitely.
You invented the Cybertruck.
A Tesla pickup truck, yeah.
So you created the Truckla, which is your Tesla Model 3 that you then turned into an electric Tesla pickup truck. Several months before the Cybertruck made its debut and was unveiled, what were your emotions seeing the design of the Cybertruck?
I was there at the launch, actually. I have never felt the air leave the room in the same way as when that thing rolled out on stage. But I really tip my hat to the boldness of it. Like, it goes hard.
It does go hard.
It goes hard.
There's so many hard angles. It goes,
Yeah.
The font behind it. I remember the unveiling too, as the sap is on my fingers. The unveiling, it was like the graffiti font. It looked like the Jet Set Radio Future video game from like 2003.
I think it's pretty cool, but it's not the pickup truck that I want. Truckla, my pickup truck, had come out months before that. People were like, whoa, that's really out there. And then suddenly, my pickup truck became the more conventional option. So everybody just turned and they were like, no, we wanted that. And
when the robot revolution happens and we're all slaves in the Bitcoin mines, do you think you'll be treated as friend by the robot overlords or as some sort of experimental angel of death figure and you'll be ritualistically slaughtered in front of the masses?
there's too much documentation of me torturing robots. Yeah, I don't think they'll like that. But then also maybe, I could be a pawn in their propaganda machine.
You're the one that
I
flipped.
think
You're the defector that flipped.
No, but I'm the one who's like, no, don't be scared. They're just friendly.
Okay.
They're nice robots. Look at them. They're serving me breakfast. So I think that's probably going to be my survival mechanism. It's just like, no, I can serve you. Don't send me to the mines. You need me in your PR department.
Simone, for course number 2 of your incredibly eclectic last meal, we have semolina porridge, simply dressed, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar. And then we have a whole boiled artichoke, just turned a little bit just to remove the biggest spikies, and then some salt and butter. Please tell me what's going on. What the hell?
The funny thing is I wrote the list of the meals and then I've completely forgotten about it. And now I was so pleasantly surprised. I was like, mannagrynsgröt, really?
I'm sorry, mannagrynsgröt?
Mannagrynsgröt.
Mannagrynsgröt.
Yeah.
Okay, and what does that literally translate to?
Mannagryn is like a type of thing.
Is mannagryn, is that like the semolina? So semolina is like
Probably.
a very coarse ground
And
wheat.
gröt is like porridge.
Okay, that is
But-
a much better name for porridge than porridge. Gröt?
Gröt. Yeah.
Gröt.
So this feels like stepping into my childhood.
Yeah.
Because we would eat a lot of artichoke, we would eat a lot of mannagrynsgröt, because we would either do oatmeal or mannagrynsgröt. And I think this is still in the category of foods that fight back.
It really is.
I don't know. And it's like foods that I have a relationship to in some way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think what I like often is just like the one ingredient thing as well. And it's just like, this is just a vegetable that does it all.
The inner leaves are where it's at. I don't want to like forsake the outer leaves.
What are you doing?
What?
There's a whole process to it.
I'm so sorry. This is your last meal. No, I can fix it. Somebody get me some glue.
Yeah.
I claw from the inside.
Oh, but this is the thing. People go straight for the heart, but there's so much foreplay in the leaves.
Let's go there. Most of the time, see, I'm just barreling into the artichoke.
Yeah, no, but you gotta be just.
And then I yell, "Where's the butter?"
Yeah.
And the butter's always there. Your second coolest scar is from when you had a birthmark removed on your butt. Tell me about your first coolest scar.
You mean that I had brain surgery?
That one, it looks sick.
But yeah, I had brain surgery, which was like so weird to be like, hey, you have a brain tumor. And you're
Yeah.
like, wow, that explains a lot. But yeah, I had a swollen eyelid. And for all you hypochondriacs out there, turns out a
Ruh-roh.
swollen eyelid can be a brain tumor the size of a golf ball.
You mentioned earlier that you had, a brush with mortality. Were there points where you seriously thought like, oh, this could be it? And how did that change your relationship to your priorities in life?
I wasn't really dying. Like there was a very high chance that I would get out of it still living. but I was at the risk of losing a lot of capacity for life. And I think also just going through the recovery, and like I was best case scenario. Like the surgery went great. The tumors the tumor part that I had left kept on growing, so I had to do radiation treatment. But like really, like I was best case scenario. Also, nothing makes you feel as young as being in the waiting room at a neurology department. They're always like, "Wow, you're so young."
And you're like, I know. What else am I?
Yeah. I think it's just going through that and having such limited energy and really having to think about how I spent it. As somebody who came out of it relatively unscathed, like it's had such a profoundly positive impact on my life. It completely reevaluated how I feel about rest, what it means for me to be good. It's changed my relationship to my body in a lot of different ways. It was like such a profound way of seeing how many people were willing to show up for me. It was like, and you're also just like, life is never felt as real as it did then. Because you're always like in an everyday state and you're like, okay, it's Tuesday. But then you're like, okay, this is life actually happening. And I can't recommend it.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to recommend.
Yeah, no, don't do it if you can avoid it. But it was really like, had a lot of really good long-term consequences.
Dig into the monogrenskroot. Come on, the monogrenskroot is getting cold. I did okay.
Remember, you did great.
You did okay? Oh, thank
that
God.
was such a long time ago. You must have run that in your head over and over and over again.
Tak.
Wow.
Come on. Who dated a Swede for 8 weeks?
8 weeks.
The best 8 weeks of my life. You said that you struggled asking for help, and then after brain surgery, you had to ask for help because doing everyday things became very difficult. Was that hard for you, easy for you, and did you learn anything you took away from that?
Do you know, like, if you end up shitting on the floor in your bathroom, butt naked, you don't have a lot of choice but to call your mom in.
Sure. But like, do you think it'd be easier to ask for help when you shit on the floor than it is like, oh, I need to build this robot today?
I think about asking for help, not necessarily as asking for help, or like if somebody asks me for support in some way, I try to think of it as a bid to deepen our connection. So it's not them necessarily being like, hey, can you help out with this? It's like, hey, do you want to be in a friendship with me where we do things for each other? And I think that's made it a lot easier both to ask for help and to give help. Because you're like, it's not necessarily the act of it. It's just like, and when you say, no, I don't need help, often what people will hear is like, oh, no, I'm not interested in getting help from you.
Yeah. How do we do on the monogrenskroot?
It's so good.
It's so good. I'm never eating oatmeal again, Simone.
It probably will make your blood sugar spike like nobody's business. But
I love it. I ride that high.
Yeah.
You named your brain tumor Brian. Did you have people named Brian reach out to you and go like, hey, what the hell?
Funny thing is now I date a Brian.
You date a Whoa. And I don't want to call it Stockholm Syndrome here.
Yeah.
But if you're from the place.
Yeah, no, I remember one of the first things I said to him was, I named my brain tumor Brian, so I feel like I already know you.
You're so good at flirting. Oh my God. That is incredible.
The wrist is just dripping off of me here. Yeah. I did have some people being like, why did you name the brain? And I get that. I feel so bad for all the Karens out there. Because like they really haven't done anything wrong, but it was an anagram of brain and I was in a tough spot. But I do want to extend a semi-sincere apology to the Bryans out there if you were rubbed the wrong way by me naming my brain tumor Brian. Just I don't want to apologize. I changed my mind. You're fine.
Why did you send Brian to Antarctica? The brain tumor, not the person you're dating.
So the thing is, I was supposed to go to Antarctica. I was supposed to shoot a show for PBS Nova, like an online series, which I was really excited about. And then pretty late into the process, I realized I am not well enough. I will not be able to physically do the shoot. I pulled out of the project, but then my friend was still going, and she was like, do you want me to bring anything? And I was like, well, what is your comfort level? So she took one of the slides from my brain tumor that I had to fight like hell to get from my doctor. because they won't give you like the pieces of it.
It's literally yours.
I
It
know.
came
I was
from
like,
you.
I grew that over 10 to 15 years. You don't think I have a right to it? That is my son right there. But the thing that got it was that I said, I want to get a second opinion from my doctor in Sweden, which I don't have a doctor in Sweden, but then they gave it to me. And so I sent my brain tumor to Antarctica, which I think was great. And she took a really beautiful photo of it in front of a glacier. And it felt very symbolic to like not be able to go myself, but a piece of me that had literally been the thing that prohibited me from getting to go.
It also feels like how Superman banished, I believe, Lex Luthor to an ice prison. I feel like that's what you did to Brian the brain tumor.
Yeah, maybe. Just sit there and think about what you did. Yeah, I mean, we brought it back because you can't.
Oh, okay. Oh,
leave no trace. Yeah, don't put like biomaterials on Antarctica. But but it's a beautiful photo and it's a really fun story.
Simone, for course number 3, we have the angel hair pasta nests. We've cooked them, added a little bit of a vegan Alfredo homage made with blended soaked cashews, and then we have added some fried chanterelle mushrooms on top here. And then we have tudose. This is a delicious Sichuan, like shredded stir-fried potato dish where the texture of the potatoes is meant to evoke somewhat rawness. It's still crunchy. It's got the Sichuan peppercorn in there. It's got some scallion on top, a lot of chili oil, and then black vinegar is what adds a little bit of acid.
So good. I mean, I haven't eaten it yet, but it looks so good.
It looks really good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm from Sweden. We foraged a lot of mushrooms, especially chanterelles, and I don't know, it's just one of the most luxurious meals you can have, in my opinion, because it's like the fruits of your labor in this way. Like you come home and you've been tired from being in the forest, and then you're like, let's put some carbs on this. Can I eat it?
You eat it, eat it. I have to ask though, do you go fork or chopstick? Because I think you're one of the few people in the world who has thought about how forks affect the human condition more than I have.
I have thought so much about forks. You do not know how much I've thought about forks.
Tell me about it. No, tell me about it. No, I love the aggression, especially about forks. From the man with a spork tattooed on his arm.
I've been working on a project that is all about everyday objects and why they look the way that they do. And the first one of those is about the forks. It's like, why does it have 4 tines? Why not 5? Why not 3? Some have 3. Why does it have the little swoop? Why is it this width? Why is this length? How would different manufacturing methods affected the form factor of the fork? There is so much.
I don't think they should exist at all. And in fact, they didn't exist, as you probably know, they didn't exist in this form until really the mid-18th century. And before that, they were seen as like an effeminate Italian affectation. The Roman Catholic Church actually banned the use of forks in England for hundreds of years. And it was only thanks to Catherine de' Medici, who helped actually codify a lot of different things, but who brought forks into the modern table setting. But I don't think they should exist on a table, especially
I feel like
here.
now you're stealing my TED Talk here. But no.
Do you want to do like a battle rap?
Yeah. No, forks, we're just spitting fork facts. No, but the thing is, we've had knives and spoons for a long time because they do things that our hands can't do. We can't cut, we can't scoop very well with our hands. The fork just replaces our hands. And the funny thing is that it has 4 tines, so it's kind of a mockery of the hand. And the main selling points for forks was, for one, they kind of spread with the adaptation of spaghetti, because they are good for eating spaghetti with. But also, one of the main selling points was that you will not need to do as much laundry because your hands will not get dirty.
Oh.
Yeah.
So forks are actually, there's an environmental play with forks.
Yeah.
How is this the first time we've hung out?
I was like, I have met my equal here in spitting fork facts.
But there was already the perfect noodle eating utensil that was invented roughly 10,000 years ago, 5,000 years before the fork. Freudian slip. And Forkian slip, and that's the chopstick. I started eating all spaghetti in my home with chopsticks.
Wow.
I'm quirky.
Way to upset every culture. This is very good. Also, I realized that speaking of ways to eat pasta, I realized that I do something that not a lot of people do. This is a weird thing to share, but we are on a runaway train of sharing random facts, 100%. And we're going with it. I don't slurp up the pasta, I roll it up on my tongue.
Is it inappropriate if I ask you to demonstrate while I stare at you?
I don't know how much you're going to be able to see. Oh, now I regret doing this.
Just like try and play to, not the camera, but play to my face.
I don't want to make eye contact with you while
you don't
I
have
do
to.
this. I'm just going to stare into the tools.
Yeah, please. I'd be more comfortable that way too.
Okay, so you just put your mouth, and then you just run your tongue in a circle. You kind of line it up on your tongue.
Okay.
I can ask you to cut things out after the fact,
100%,
right? Okay, cool.
100%, yeah.
This is moment of trust here. Okay.
Like an anteater. That was
And the crowd goes wild.
It's like tying a cherry stem in a knot, except it's like way more practical.
I don't know, but this is like one of the things that I've done ever since I was a kid, and I didn't realize that it was weird until somebody was like, "What the f- are you doing?" But yeah, so no, you gotta like run your tongue in a circle.
I can ask you to cut things after, right? Tell me about the two doser, if I'm pronouncing it anywhere close to correct, because you do speak Mandarin, right?
I used to live in China when I was a teenager, and this was one of my favorite meals. And it's just good, and it's always like, because I always have potatoes in my fridge, and you're like, I just need something more, and it takes 5 minutes to make.
Yeah, and then it's got the Sichuan peppercorn, which has like the prickly ash or the xanthosxylum in there that kind of like numbs your tongue a little bit, gives you that electrified feeling.
I love eating it. I don't love shitting it out.
What foods do you love shitting out? Is there a ranking?
I don't know, the only thing that comes up is corn, because you're like, oh, I forgot about you.
Surprise.
It's funny seeing you again.
A tip of the hat to you. Good day, sir. Would you rather relive the day where you found out you had a brain tumor, or relive the day where you shot a Chinese sitcom for like 16 hours and had to run your lines 85 times and piss off an entire cadre of Chinese actors when you were 16?
Finding out brain tumor.
Yep.
Honestly. Shooting that Chinese sitcom. So this is me, 16 years old, living in China, going to a public Chinese high school. I'm an exchange student. I live in a Chinese host family. And for some reason, like I'm in a city with almost no foreigners, and they need somebody to play somebody's like Canadian or American wife. And they're like, that girl can do it. And they said I would only have 3 lines. And it is genuinely the most uncomfortable, awkward, painful day of my life, because I struggled through that, and you're trying your best, and everybody's annoyed with you, even though like you got thrown in the deep end and you were not able to swim, and somebody else made that judgment call on your end. Finding out that I had a brain tumor was great until it wasn't, but that was like, it was late at night that I found out. So like the rest of the day was kind of fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's just good math right there.
What's your most uncomfortable day?
It was when my dad was in a coma, and it was several days before he passed away. But it was that sitting in stasis for so long, let's say like day 4 in the hospital, when it was the same hospital food that I'd eaten for the last 3 days, chicken white bean chili. I can't eat it to this day. But it was doing that, and it was just the nothingness of staring at the walls in no news and looking at the same magazine covers. I would rather do anything than relive that day, which is why I think like hospitals freak me out, which is why, you know, someone like you who spent so much time and had so much time to think about their own mortality and be stuck in this sort of stasis, because it took you like, what, 2 years-ish to really go through that journey, and I'm sure it still, you know, was felt for that long. I'm always fascinated with, you know, dealing with things for that long and not knowing when it's going to change, so.
That being stuck in that gray zone of like the only thing that's going to get you out of it was most likely him passing, and that's not something to hope for is going to happen, but then at the same time being like, how long am I going to be here for? That sounds like such a weird state to be in, and for such a long time.
Did you ever feel that because you had the brain operation, but then you also went through radiation after that when the tumor came back? Did you ever feel that like, oh, this is going to last forever, that feeling of uncomfortability, that feeling of like dissociation?
Yeah, there's definitely a time where you're like, am I ever going to feel better? And it's so hard to be a patient.
Did you go into like your own treatment with scientific curiosity, or did you do the opposite where you just pulled back and were like, let go and let science?
Pulled back completely. It's weird because you never know how you're going to react in a situation like that. I remember my mom being like, you should get second opinions. Let's like look into it. And I, for just latched on to my neurologist like a scared little child.
Yeah.
Like, he was the one who was on call when I went to the emergency room after I had my MRI, and he was the one who ended up doing surgery on me. So he kind of became my point of safety, and I remember I was just like, Dr. Reddy, whatever you say, I will do and I will trust, and I did not want to doubt him in any way. So no, I was definitely not like, oh, let's learn about this. I was like, whatever you needed me to do. I do think that a curious disposition felt like the most constructive way to approach it. Because you're not going to, like, I can't be, like, toxically optimistic of, like, everything's going to be great. Because, like, you don't know that. I don't know. Like, how often do you get to hear dripping noises inside of your skull?
How often do you get to hear dripping noises?
Once in my life. It was so crazy because you, like, get, like, they don't, you'll have air trapped in your head. So there will be, like, drips from the roof of your head. Because also you have, like, a big cavity after, like, I had a literal hole in my brain where, like, the brain tumor had been.
I guess I thought they filled it with packing peanuts. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
no, yeah. And I remember, like, moving my head over from one side and go, bloop, 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 which is so crazy. Like, how can you not be curious about that?
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
You mentioned that your mom and dad, they were in the TV business, right? And you said growing up, you didn't want to, like, you know, do what they did because nobody wants to follow their parents. So you sort of rebelled against that and went to the sciences. But your great-great-great-grandfather, Lars Magnus Eriksson, was kind of the person who, like, brought the telephone to Sweden. Do you believe in any sort of, like, fate or higher power? Do you think that's all sort of coincidence, or is there some sort of biological determinism there?
I do think I'm very similar to my mom in that way. She's just very curious and very like, what about if we do it this way?
Yeah.
And you're like, that's not how you do it. And she's like, but I think more than that, it was also I just had parents who were always encouraging, and they gave me a very long lead of like, do what you want. And yeah, so I think it's more that, but there's definitely something biological going on.
Did you invent the proud parent machine?
Uh-huh.
Because you didn't get enough pats on the back?
No,
Simone,
no.
I'm proud of you, son.
Thank
I'm
you.
proud of you,
Thank
son.
you so much. I don't have 25 cents, but
That's
I'll
okay,
Venmo you.
You don't have the tap reader on the machine yet? You ready to get to the final course?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Simone, for the final course, your final meal on this earth. Simone and Earth! Millions of different crop varietals, thousands of years of culinary engineering, and you have chosen, until the long sleep, edible clay. Now this is Siberian edible clay. Is this your preferred vintage?
I don't know. I haven't tried that many.
How many is too many? How many is that many?
I can't believe I'm about to confess this on the internet. When I was a young girl.
Shh, give her space.
There's no better smell than the smell of rocks and like soil, and my siblings also love it. The difference between me is like that I'm like, I want to eat it. And I realize I probably have something called pica, where you want to like eat unedible or inedible things. But then I realized, so I'm not like gonna go out into the yard and just pick up a rock and eat it. But I figured, you know what? I'm in my 30s. Let's explore this side of myself. And I went on a Google hunt, and I found that there's a whole community of people who like eating clay. And apparently in like indigenous communities, you'd eat it for digestion. This is very, like, everybody does it.
Yeah, there's kaolin clay. I am here to validate that. Not that you need my validation. You've been thinking about eating rocks for 20 years. I'm an interloper. But this is a thing that is commonly eaten, especially like pregnant women. They will eat clay because it is rich in iron. And then
that's how I find out.
I don't know. We got also this specific brand of pica is called geophagy.
Wow, you know more about this than I do.
It's a pretty simple Latin construction of eating the earth.
Yeah.
And that's rad. That is metal.
It makes me, I don't eat much. Like, I'll eat like a little piece.
This is months worth of clay.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just...
Hold on now. Where does this rank in terms of your clay eating experiences?
You know, different rocks taste different. This one's pretty
No, I don't
mid-tier.
This is
you know.
mid-tier. It's got...
It's not last year. But it's good. It's just weird because I'll like get cravings for it. It's not that I'm hungry or anything. But you're just like, what I really want to do now? I'm gonna chew on some rock.
Have you gotten your iron levels tested?
I'm chronically anemic.
Oh, you are?
So maybe that explains. But does it really have iron in it?
I think that's typically the reason most people around the world compulsively eat clay.
Yeah, maybe I should eat more iron supplements.
But even without that, you just love the taste of it.
I just love the taste of it. I don't know.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's a little bit wrong with that.
A little bit wrong with that.
Yeah. I look forward to your judgment.
Your mom hosts a show where she has psychic mediums reconnect family members to deceased loved ones. Is your mom like a true believer of the paranormal, or was she just a host for the show, and also did that transmit to you?
I think the effect that has had on me is that I have like teenage allergies to anything spiritual, anything. Like I just can't. Oh gosh, when somebody starts talking about astrological signs, I just glaze over. I'm sorry if anybody here is into it. I just, I can't.
Did you used to be? I have never heard the phrase teenage allergy, but that describes exactly what I still have intuitively, but definitely had more vocally when I was a teenager. Has that softened in you? Have you, as you've gotten older, you've gotten a little bit more like, oh, I understand, you're merely using that as a tool for self-reflection and blah, blah, blah? Or it's still like, that deck of tarot cards is $200 and you're late on your rent?
I think I've gotten more hard on it. But unless somebody is going through grief. If somebody's grieving somebody and they feel like talking to a psychic person or trying to get contact with the person that they're grieving is going to help them in some way, then it's like whatever works for you in this context. I feel like I deeply identify as an atheist. And but who knows? We're malleable beings. Yeah. And who knows what the future holds. I'm very happy to be proven wrong.
As an atheist, what do you believe happens when you die? Is it just night, nothingness, we were never here?
Probably.
What's something you still hope to accomplish before you finally do go for the big sleep?
Okay, picture this.
I'm picturing it.
I'm 57. I've aged very well. I rock a full head of gray hair. And I walk into this big brick building, and there's a whole workshop floor with people working, and everybody's a little bit scared of me, but they know that deep down I am very kind. My office is on the second floor. There's a mezzanine. I walk up there. People bring in prototypes, and they're like, how do you like this one? And I say, you know what? Let's make that button green instead. And let's look at these other materials. And then I just get to create and guide this whole group of people in like, this is the product I want to explore. And that just, I so badly want to make that happen. And I am very deliberately working towards that.
I hope you look back at this episode from that second floor mezzanine office and you go, wow, why the did I eat clay?
I'm still eating clay. This is a lifelong commitment.
You ready to get to the lightning round?
Yeah.
Who's the one person, dead or alive, you'd want to share your actual last meal with?
Mom.
You can only take 3 of your inventions on a desert island. Which do you take?
Maybe my dog chair if I could also bring my dog. And proud parent machine because emotional support. How are you going to beat that?
What song do you want to be played at your funeral?
It's a song by Lale, but there's a cover by Jose Gonzalez that she did. It's called En stund på jorden. It's about a moment on Earth, and it's very beautiful. That one. People will cry. Oh my God, the speeches, Josh's speech, everybody.
I knew I'd crush it.
Yeah.
I knew I'd crush it. If you could be any animal other than a business mantis, what animal would you be?
An indoor-outdoor cat because they have all the best of both worlds.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
Who's your dream eulogizer other than me at your funeral?
It would be so fun if like a very random celebrity showed up and people would be like, wait, how did she know like Justin Trudeau? Or I don't know. Like, it would just be somebody very, very random and nobody knew that I knew them. Not Justin Trudeau. I don't really.
WWE legend Mick Foley. He seems fun.
Sure.
Foley. What's your biggest fear?
That somebody's angry with me, but they won't tell me why.
What's the hardest goodbye you've ever had to say?
I think first time I moved abroad, saying goodbye to my family. Dog euthanasia.
You were a euthanasia.
I had to euthanize my dog because of behavioral issues and because he turned really aggressive. And that was, wait, people are laughing?
No, you said we have to run this back. You don't have a heart out, right? So you said when I went abroad, you went abroad to China, and then you said no, euthanasia, but I said you were a youth in Asia when you went abroad. But then you started talking about a very real story of you having to put your dog down due to aggressive behavior, and then people laughed. About a second, because it took a while for it to set in, but then they were laughing directly at you murdering the dog. Yeah.
I'm fully not murdering it. It's a very hard judgment call when you have to balance the safety of society and of your environment and your love for your dog. But yeah, that was probably the hardest goodbye. Oh my God, that was so much.
Big segue. Simone, are you happy?
Yes, I have a great capacity for being cranky and unhappy in moments, but overall in life, I am very, very, very happy.
You seem very happy, and
Yeah.
but truly, this was an absolute pleasure, and I've been watching your stuff for years. I'm excited to watch your career grow and all that. If you want to deliver your last words, Simone, to that camera right there.
I'm thinking my last words before I die would be, I didn't do it, only to throw people off. Like, leave a mystery. I buried it in the woods. Or something like that for people to be like, wait, what?
I'm going to every single woods to try and find whatever you buried. I'm just going to find truckla under there, and it's going to be incredible. Simone, truly, this is awesome. Everybody, make sure you follow Simone on YouTube, on social. Simone, tell them where they can find you.
At Simone Giertz, spelled Giertz, because my ancestors were trolls.
Just like it sounds.
Yeah.
Just like it sounds. We all gotta eat and we're all gonna die. But in the meantime, you can wear our Last Meals hoodie, available now at mythical.com.